What up, my fellow Knicks fans? This is your guy Marcellus Ease, and don't panic quite yet. Now, things are definitely looking up. The team got a little bop to them. Sometimes getting your chin checked is a good thing. And with the blowout losses in Cleveland and with the Boston Celtics, this defense has awakened. But in this segment right here, we'll touch base on a few concepts. The team's fourth quarter identity on the offensive as well as the defensive end. And on top of that, we'll take a look at Thibs' rotations with the defense, with Mitchell Robinson being back in the lineup. Quite a few interesting things going on there. And the possibilities are looking good. OG Anunoby, ever since his return in Cleveland, has been a beast on the defensive end. So you sprinkled that on top, you got for a monster right there. So we'll take a look at some of the dynamics touching base with him. And finally, this Knicks development has been doing its thing the past few years, as we'll check out Ariel Hukporti's improvement from Summer League all the way up until now. The Knicks will be needing a versatile big who is very mobile out there in the perimeter, as well as providing some rim protection. But hey, I'm not going to say no more. Let's just get to it.
You can walk anywhere in this world and niggas will be like, where you from, New York?
Yeah.
Anywhere. They not saying, where you from, Cali? Where you from, New Mexico? Are you from Detroit? No, nigga.
And so,
where you from, nigga, New York?
Let me show you how arrogant New Yorkers is. We don't even think we got an accent. They're like, you got an accent. I'm like, no, motherfucker.
You got an accent.
Alcohol, right?
You know, through the NBA history books, there's always a few things that you can judge a team on that never changes no matter what the era is. And that is their ability to get stops against high-level teams going into the playoffs, especially in scenarios like this. The game's winding down. Knicks are only up by 1. You got to get a stop right here. And Mikal definitely does his thing, holding his own against Ja, as he's been doing it all game long. But this scenario right here is what we've been kind of asking ourselves all season long. Can this team hold its own on the defensive end and get key stops? The offense is definitely rolling at times, but the team is finding themselves having to execute in these scenarios, especially in the second half of the season, where teams really begin to establish themselves of where they're exactly at in the pecking order. The communication hasn't always been crisp this season. But right here on this play, as you can see, the Knicks are trying to get stops here. Trying to get a stop so they can go ahead and try to tie this up or take the lead. But right here on this switch against the top teams in the league, the Knicks are going to have to make this switch at some point. They cannot leave teams like Boston with open shooters, or another team, for example, like the Oklahoma City Thunder. Can't leave guys open like this. They're going to at some point have to make the switch. But you know what? I'm going to just stay on the Boston Celtics. They have a lot of serviceable guys. They're going to have Jrue Holiday, White, KP, Al Horford, Tatum, or Brown. All these guys can shoot. So this has been a scenario that's been plaguing the team all year long against the top contenders. How crisp is the communication on these switches? Do they know when to switch? Knowing when to double? How seamless can this really be in real time? Here it is again against the Bulls. Mikal gets caught. Completely caught. Remember, it's a tie game. They're trying to close this out. 12 seconds left. And we're going to watch the chemistry between Mikal, Precious, and Shamet. This is what has to be in unison right here. Mikal chases over the top. Even though he got caught on the screen, he does not switch. He chases over the top. Valanciunas rolls. And Lonzo Ball pops out. Look at that. Wide open. And he tries to stunt on the Garden right here, even though this is a miss. But this right here is what is going to have to be in unison going up against teams, especially like the Celtics in the playoffs. These things are going to be very, very key, because the shooter that's going to be left open, it's not going to be Lonzo Ball. It possibly could be Derek White, Jrue Holiday, or Kristaps Porzingis. Major difference. And one of the main questions with this year's team is, can they win different styles of games? Sometimes they might not be scoring as much, or normally certain guys who normally get it going, can they find a different way to affect the game? And for those of you that are more privy to the Knicks teams of the past, especially the beloved 90s Knicks. They were able to pull out victories when things weren't really going their way offensively. Here's a prime example of it right here. The Knicks are down 1-0 in this series. This is game 2. Hakeem is the reigning defensive player of the year and MVP. So the Knicks are only up 1. It's under 2 minutes left. And they're going to get some stops here. This is why Patrick Ewing is a legend. You got to get stops. Even though this is a different era, there's different defensive rules. For example, zone defense in a way was sort of illegal, depending on your positioning. But even through all that, the scenarios don't change. High-level teams have to get stops. Knicks once again trying to close out the game, needing a stop. Look at Ewing. Gets the steal. Comes up big once again. And it just wasn't Ewing. The whole team was bought in. Starks with the strip. And Knicks fans know what it looked like. There's an extra bop to it. When your team plays great defense, you got an extra pep to your step, an extra swagger. And this year's team was missing a lot of that, but low-key is starting to come alive, as you can see with the return of OG into the lineup, as well as Mitch. There's an extra bop. You put Deuce McBride in that whole situation, you got a whole different equation, man. Like, this team has an extra pep to their step, and we've seen it play out in Miami, as well as the game in Memphis. But at the end of the day, it really started in the game going up against the Celtics. The defense had more communication. Guys were switching. They were not switching. Thibs wasn't afraid of leaving guys one-on-one against certain players. With the Celtics, finally a fucking adjustment being made. No more switches, because that's what the Celtics were hunting in all the matchups that we had with them throughout the season. Knicks right here showing great defense, trying to close out this game. Josh Hart staying on Duncan. OG just all over Tyler Hero. And the combination between Josh Hart, I mean, just look at this lineup. Josh Hart, McBride, you got OG, and you got fucking Mitchell Robinson. Sheesh. That is a monster in itself right there. I'm telling you, the Knicks getting blown out by the Celtics and the Cavs has switched this team up. Mikal with the great defense, sticking on Ja. Check out the rotations. Ooh, Brunson. Nice rotation right there. And of course, Ja Morant, we're going to leave him open to take that. But something about the defense has changed. I've alluded to this in my previous video with the Boston Celtics in their last matchup. As you can see, even though it was kind of a blowout, there was a lot of changes that were being made by Thibs, just letting guys play man-to-man. He kind of trusts defenders to kind of go 1v1 a lot more, because the Celtics, they do look and hunt for guys that are switching and to get certain 2v1s or 3v2 scenarios and exploit that. Now, going to the fourth quarter offense, the Knicks all season, Jalen Brunson has been killing it with the isolation and just him scoring in crunch time. But sometimes we get way too stagnant. Knicks right here, they're down 2, about under 3 minutes left to go in the game. And we do have a lot of possessions like this during the closing moments of these games. Once again, Knicks down 2, closing moments of the game, and just another stagnant possession. But they do get the offensive board. But again, this season, JB is killing it in crunch time with the isolation. But I'm just wondering if sometimes these stagnant possessions do kind of go under the radar. The Knicks have too much of a healthy balance of offensive players on the floor who could just create more of an imagination of what this could be. You got Anthony Towns, who not only spreads the floor, but then you got corner shooters like OG Anunoby, who's also a cutter. Same thing for Josh Hart, consistently putting pressure on the defense and on that rim. And with him being able to break down the defense like that, you got Mikal Bridges, who's deadly with the mid-range, and he's also a nice off-ball cutter. And then, of course, you got Jalen Brunson, who could not only create for himself in ISO, he could also catch and shoot. So a lot of the imagination at times, it does get stunted in these fourth quarter closeouts. And even just after the offensive board, just look, it's just more stagnation. It's like all of a sudden we forget our weapons, our possibilities. Right here, 12 seconds left. Knicks down 2. They blitz. It's an instant blitz on JB right here. I think he recognizes it, and that's why he penetrates. And now that's when things kind of open up for this offense. OG comes through. I don't know. This season, JB has just been way too clutch. Knicks up 1. Game winding down. And yeah, his pull-up game has been insane. Just insane. You know, it's amazing to see what JB's been doing in crunch time this season. Knicks down 2. 16 seconds left. And just look at this move he puts on right here. Stutter. Ooh, got him. He's scoring from everywhere. Again, I don't want to put too much focus on some of the lower level teams, as JB right here, he's just in his bag. Sheesh. But this offense has definitely more imagination in them, and we've seen it in various spots throughout this season. The only thing is, if everything can actually come together in certain crunch time situations when teams expect JB to go one-on-one. Here's some examples of that imagination. 14 seconds left to close out the half. Mikal ghosts his screen. And now JB dumps it off to Mikal. And right here, Mikal is going to have options. It's 4-on-3. So what he's going to do right here, he could either pass it or he could take it up himself. But you're going to see options begin to open up because the Knicks, they have serviceable players this season on the offensive end. You got Cat. You got even Josh Hart. He could penetrate. He doesn't necessarily have to shoot it. His passing and his dribble penetration, finishing at the rim this season has been immaculate, man. You're going to see options open up. And even though he missed that, the Knicks generated a wide open look. And this right here is a prime example of some of that imagination of the offense with all the off-ball movement, just the cutters. You're going to see how many open shots the Knicks generate right here. A lot of these guys are very serviceable. That's 3 open shots generated right there. First to the corner, OG, then to Josh Hart up top, and then Mikal. So packages like this leaves us to wonder if the team can combine it and apply it in these fourth quarter crunch time situations. Here's some more of that ideal offense, this time with Cat sort of operating in the Tom Brady role. You got a lot of cutters right here, man. Josh Hart, Mikal, and OG. A lot of guys that can make things happen off ball. And just Jalen Brunson, just pay attention to him right here, along with Mikal. Him and Mikal, when Cat has the ball, they're a threat off ball. See this screen? Cat didn't pick it up right away, but he could have had Mikal. And Jalen Brunson, just in this dribble handoff right here, he's going to draw a lot of attention automatically. He's going to draw a lot of attention because him coming off that dribble handoff, he's a threat on just pulling up. So this offense does have a lot of versatility to it off rip. Once again, the threat of the Cat and Brunson pick and roll. Cat doesn't necessarily have to give the ball to Brunson when he comes around because he's a threat to go downhill and score himself. Look at Mikal. He ghosts his screen, so he's going downhill himself. A lot's going on right here. The Cat, he's a threat right here, and now it generates another open look for Mikal to get his shit off. Here's another example of it here. Brunson gets blitzed by Fred VanVleet, and now Josh Hart. We all know he puts pressure on that rim. He's going to attack. He's going to see what's up. He has great passing ability. There's one open shot, and there's another open shot. So as the Knicks have quite a few games to kind of work out the kinks with this offense, they can add a bit more versatility to what they do in crunch time situations, because the Brunson ISO at times, especially for very smart defensive minded teams like the Celtics, it's going to be very hard to pull that off during crunch time situations. So adding some of that versatility is something that they still have plenty of breathing room to kind of build up the calluses and kind of execute on. Now, the impact of Mitchell Robinson, the Knicks felt it right away, especially with them going up against G.G. Jackson. It's one of the best power forwards in the league. And right here, as they try to get this switch on Mikal, he's caught. In a way, it's almost a pointless pick and roll right here, because now they got Mitchell Robinson, great contest, along with Mikal trying to recover right on Ja Morant. And look at this deadly lineup right here. You got Deuce, Mikal, OG, and Mitchell Robinson. My man Mitchell Robinson instantly helping with that transition defense, something we've been struggling with all season long. That rim protection is much needed, as guys at times, they look very confused on the recovery. Whether we make a basket or we miss one or it's off the turnover, that transition defense has been a real fucking issue. And here's a prime example of it right here in transition. Look how many Heat guys are in the paint. I mean, guys are still not back. I know the Knicks were in South Beach on a Saturday night. Maybe they was at Club Live. Who knows? That first quarter hangover is real. But going back to Mitch Rob, how could we forget the offensive rebounding? The second chance opportunities was one of the weapons that the Knicks had just from a few seasons ago, which the offense sometimes was pretty stagnant with the three-point shooting, but it didn't matter because Hartenstein and other guys like Mitchell Robinson were cleaning up the glass and giving the Knicks a lot of second chance points, and it helped propel this team to a highly offensive ranking, even though they didn't have any shooters. And at the end of the day, all these second chance points leads to easy buckets as the Knicks try to march for a comeback, and Mitch right here making that transition smooth. Now, one thing as of late that doesn't really get talked about a lot is the defense OG Anunoby has been playing ever since he made his return against the Cavs. He's been everywhere and he's been doing everything. For instance, in this game, he had to worry about Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, DeAndre Hunter, and Evan Mobley. It's kind of crazy how he looked in his first game back. For example, right here, he fights through this screen through Evan Mobley, and he keeps up with the versatile DeAndre Hunter. But once again, that was just a warm-up. OG has been everywhere since he's come back from injury. It's crazy when you think about it because his defensive assignments just coming fresh off of injury has been crazy. Got Bam Adebayo, one of the best power forwards in the league. Same thing for Triple J Jackson out in Memphis. And the same thing in Cleveland with Evan Mobley. He's guarding Darius Garland as well as Donovan Mitchell. So OG has been asked to do a lot while he's still getting his stamina underneath him. And he has responded well. OG right here, as Deuce gets caught right in the screen from Paul George, OG is going to switch on Tyrese Maxey, and he's going to fight over this screen that's coming up on the dribble handoff. And Podcast P goes on an island with Deuce where he could maintain his own. This defense does have a lot of versatility to it. OG is good enough to guard anybody in the perimeter. Same thing for Deuce, but those two guys could also, from time to time, Deuce McBride, I'm going to give him props on this. He could hold his own on certain power forwards, but OG could also make that switch, holding his own against centers and power forwards. Meanwhile, with Mitchell Robinson returning into the lineup, it gives the Knicks a lot of different looks going up against certain teams. Here's a perfect example of it right here. Triple J trying to get a switch on Mikal, but it proves to be pointless because now there's no advantage. You might as well have just called Cat for the switch. But this is what I mean. The Knicks do have versatility on their defensive end. And imagine if Mitch was there instead of Cat. It really gives that switch a different set of options for Ja Morant, especially him loving to finish at the rim. It's not going to be as easy. Here's another peek of that defensive versatility. Pick and roll with Duncan Robinson. Got Mitch, got OG involved right here. Mitch has those long arms, so getting this over the top is not going to be as easy. OG is just hounding guys. He's all over the place. He forces a turnover. OG is lit, man. I'm telling you, ever since he came back, he's been a different man. Again, some more of that Knicks versatility on defense. OG with the nice contest. Right here, Deuce. Left on the island, hold his own. Knicks really have a lot of guys around the perimeter that can defend multiple positions. At least 1 through 3. Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, Deuce McBride, OG Anunoby. OG, once again, he's on Bam Adebayo. Tries to post him up. OG denies him from getting position and forces a turnover. That's sort of the good thing when guys kind of go out for a little while. You kind of reevaluate their importance. And OG Anunoby, man, there's no way the Knicks could replace him, man. This guy's really 1 in a million. I mean, look at the strength OG has on Triple J. That's one of the best power forwards in the league. Completely denies him right there. The Grizzlies know OG's a problem. They set one screen on him right here to free up Jackson. And they're going to set a second one right there. He still gets through both of them. And just, damn, he's just a havoc right now. Ja Morant is fucking stuck. He is frustrated. The Knicks are sinking Mikal Bridges on him, OG on him from time to time, Josh Hart, and Deuce McBride. He does not get a minute off. And I know the night before in that game in South Beach, OG is one of the reasons why the Knicks fully made that comeback in the fourth quarter. He was completely part of it. I know he didn't go out the night before because he was everywhere. Knicks are down 7. Tyler Hero's trying his heroics, but he ain't going nowhere. OG's on him like glue. Look at OG on this recovery right here, boy. Woo! He's still on him. We're not done yet. We're still in the fourth quarter. Look how many screens are being set up. There's a lot of blockage going on. So OG got to fight through these. This is before he even plays through defense. Once again, OG fighting through screens, and he's still closing out. Once again, OG's strength on full display. Going up against Triple J. Completely stops him in his tracks. And forces a jump ball. And this was something that wasn't really acknowledged in this very game, was that OG Anunoby made it very inconvenient for their scoring leader, Triple J, to kind of get going. Very, very inconvenient for him to even receive the ball in certain spots. It's not really Ja Morant this season that has been the leading factor for the Memphis Grizzlies. It's been Triple J. And OG just sort of began to eliminate that. Like I said, this season, guards like Ja Morant, they've had a lot of issues. Look at the Knicks right here. They're able to switch. Now he has Deuce on him. And we've been doing this to guards all season long. And now he's got to deal with OG with this turnover. Earlier this season, we did the same thing to Damian Lillard when he made his first appearance in Madison Square Garden. Same thing for Trae Young. That's something that's under the radar this season. He has had horrible outings against the Knicks. Just as many points as he scores, that's how many field goal attempts he's had. And just going back to OG, just like Triple J, he's making it very inconvenient for Bam Adebayo to receive the ball. And just overthinking things leads to the turnover. And this is with the Knicks up 1 in the overtime. Knicks right here trying to close the game out. Check out OG, he's everywhere. And check him out on his closeout. And he bothers Davion Mitchell's shot. So OG during that injury period kind of got a little bit of rest while he's nursing himself right back into the lineup. And it's paying dividends. He looks like a new man. He's all over the place. And this is all while he's trying to get his stamina back. And one thing that's going to make this whole defense come together, and it's very unfortunate that we were so close to seeing it, is Ariel Hukporti being in this lineup. OG Anunoby, since his return, has been playing tremendous defense, as well as Mitchell Robinson getting right back on the court. But holy shit, we missed a preview of how versatile this defense could be. Ariel gives the Knicks another big that is mobile around the perimeter and also could provide some rim protection. And he has made a lot of positive gains since Summer League. At first, he looked slow-footed and the game looked a little bit too fast for him. But again, right here, we're seeing him reading the game. Look at his positioning right here. He's going to attack the closeout on Cat. And look at Hukporti. Attack this closeout right here. It's easy to get by Cat. And this is what we need right here. We need someone to protect the rim. Just imagine him along with Mitchell Robinson coming off the bench, or Thibs being able to mix in Cat with both. Now right here in transition after made bucket, this is something that we've been suffering from all season long. Ty Jerome is going to reject this screen from Allen. He's going to go straight down and attack it. And look at Allen on this roll. Hukporti with the great defense. This is what we need right here. Again, having another big body player who in transition can help the Knicks with rim protection. Look at Hukporti. He is under the hoop. Deuce just knocked this down. He's under the hoop. Look where he's at. And now, look where everyone's at. And now look where Hukporti's at. Scotty Barnes, this would have been an easy bucket. Hukporti gets in the way of that. And that right there has been eating the Knicks alive this season. Just how many transition buckets do we give up? Transition threes. Even worse, just wide open, uncontested transition layups. Ariel gives the Knicks a lot of versatility when guarding some of the best power forwards in the Eastern Conference. Now, right here, I'm not going to give all that credit to Scotty Barnes, but I am going to give credit to guys like Kristaps Porzingis. You see, he's going to give us a versatility when guarding KP on that pop-out pick and roll. Also, just sticking to the Eastern Conference, guys like Evan Mobley in the Cleveland Cavaliers. The switchability of him and Jarrett Allen sometimes running pick and roll or just dealing with both of them. Hukporti definitely gives us another big body to deal with those two twin towers. But right here, one-on-one with Scotty Barnes on an island, he affects his shot. Look at that. He has a double clutch. Again, right here, we're going to see some of his mobility, almost Isaiah Hartenstein-like. He's going to recover right here to get in the way and affect Dick's shot. Pause. He's got the most craziest last name in the NBA right now, but he's doing his thing, though. I can't front. You know, it's amazing in the past few years of how the Knicks development don't necessarily get the credit that they do deserve. We've seen guys like Deuce McBride, Emmanuel Quickley, Mitchell Robinson, and now Ariel Hukporti showing signs of life. You know, he looks completely different than he did in Summer League. And development nowadays is very important for especially the contending NBA teams. As these contracts and salaries balloon, you got to have some guys on that team that are just outperforming their contracts. Key development guys that are coming up. We've seen the Celtics are sort of built like this. Same thing for the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Cavs got plenty of guys coming off the bench that are currently outperforming their contracts. So this is going to be key to put together a team, especially when you got high salary players like Karl Anthony Towns and OG Anunoby. Even the way he's defending pick and rolls is a lot different. Just the way he squares up his body, the way he recovers on it, it's a lot different. But these things do come with time. As right here, he's in drop back coverage, defending the pick and roll. Look how slow he is right here on this swipe. Nowadays, when we see him on the court to sneak something like that through, it's more than likely not going to happen. The improvement on the pick and roll defense is very noticeable. Going up against Podcast P. Look how he keeps up with him. One of you fellas could correct me in the comments. I'm not sure if Ariel was going through or just recovering from an injury, but he's not as mobile. He's played more drop back coverage in Summer League, so we didn't get to see some of that mobility. So this is an easy pull up right here. But now he's moving a lot more laterally, sort of like Isaiah Hartenstein. He definitely probably was recovering from an injury because he looks more like a traditional big during Summer League. I really couldn't tell if he was really a rim or shot blocker. See, he's trying to get used to the speed and what's going on around him. Even the shot blocking today looks a lot different. Now looking at it in real time, look at that. He's used to the speed. He has better aim at swiping at the ball and better timing, and he looks way more explosive. Just looking at his agility in the pick and roll in real time, keeps up with defenders. He's more on it. Ben Simmons right here brings him into the pick and roll. Yeah, man, that swipe technique, it seems like he's got it down pat. Now, another thing that stands out from preseason is guys not falling for the fakes. It's right here, he does not fall for it. And Scotty Barnes, nowhere to go. Great contest, good defense. Ariel holding his own with the clock winding down, 1-on-1 on the island with Scotty Barnes. Now we're going to check out other qualities that we should keep an eye on in Hukporti's development. Things like pick and roll. How does he react in being the role man, like his decision making? Is he going to kick out? Could he finish himself, his floater game? And also, what kinds of picks does he set for Jalen Brunson? This right here is a perfect example of what I mean. What kind of picks does he set for Brunson? Look how he comes directly behind Paul George. He's leaving him guessing. He doesn't know which way he's coming, from the left or right side. Last minute, he makes a turn. See, these are the kinds of screens Isaiah Hartenstein was setting for Brunson last season. And this sort of chemistry will take time. He has to kind of figure out which angle is the best for Brunson to go, or how to set things up, because we know sometimes Brunson likes to cross dudes over into a screen. So a lot of that chemistry from last season with Isaiah Hartenstein, if they could somewhat mimic some of those things, it could definitely add into Jalen Brunson's game. Now, when it comes to the decision making, that's something that we're definitely going to be looking out in Hukporti's development journey. As right here, this exact scenario here. How does he process this situation? Is he going to take it up for the floater, or does he see an open pass? Because remember, the Knicks have a lot of cutters on this team. Guys are consistently moving off ball, including OG Anunoby. But Podcast P makes a steal. And here's another part of the decision-making process right here. How does he operate in these dribble handoff situations? Could he fake it? If his defender is hedging, let's say Drummond was more up on him, could he take it himself and then make a decision whether to pass it out or finish at the hoop? There's going to be a lot of things to look out in his development. That is a nice dribble handoff right there, pick and roll. And he's able to finish that. But once again, right here in this scenario, Jalen Brunson, he's going to draw a lot of attention in this situation. Sometimes defenders are more up. So is Hukporti going to have a good feel for the game where he could roll on this? And then right here, once again, this is going to be another decision that he's going to have to make right here, because sometimes he's going to have an advantage. It might be 3-on-2. He has a height advantage. Is he going to be able to read the floor and make the proper kickouts? But we'll see. This season, of course, is going to be quite a revolving door of changes. Constant learning, constant guys scoping of what works, what doesn't work. Guys jumping in and out of the lineup because of injuries. It's going to be a constant evolution going into this year's playoffs. But hopefully we can gain some great momentum. I'm seeing a lot of strides being made in the defensive end, especially with OG Anunoby since his return. But we'll see how it plays out. You fellas definitely stay positive, and until next time, peace.